Think we're live. Everybody, Hookist Nation, I hope you're out there. You're going to be able to comment. I'm Meredith from Hookist, and we're so lucky to have Jayne Sachs and Chris Robbins here tonight, who have been writing this incredibly beautiful and poignant and, kind of heartbreaking song with us. So guys, say hello. And we wanted to start this this conversation off with paying some tribute to a special person.
Yeah, I thought we should just say, have a moment of honor for Loretta Lynn. Today she passed away, and I've seen all the Facebook posts and how sad that is. I've had a few friends who got the pleasure to play with her this year. My neighbor who lives around the corner, Amy Sunshine, got to sing with her at the Grand Ole Opry, and she was posting her picture. And so Loretta was an amazing songwriter, a great talent. And so just a quick memory of her.
Yes, it's very beautiful.
Coal miner's daughter, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Okay, so I think I'm getting messages that we've gone live all over.
Do it.
We should be live on Facebook. We are live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitter.
Wow.
So hopefully people are joining us. I don't really know how to tell if they're joining us or not. But guys, you can make comments. I believe it's going to be on the right-hand side for you. And I'm texting Terry to say, oh, yeah, you're definitely good. But I haven't gotten a message back. But maybe we should start with some questions. Is there anything, did you want to say?
Hello, Patricia? Am I saying this right?
Patricia,
there we go. Hey, Keith. There's Keith.
God, we're doing it. I'm so happy.
Oh my God, these are names I've seen a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Hookist,
Patricia.
Folks, oh my gosh, they did such a good job with this song. And Teresa.
Hey.
Pam.
I'm gonna forever be Pam.
G.T. Edwards. I wish that I was telling Meredith that I wish I could see all of you, because I wanted to put an animated face with the name, not just the picture on Hookist, but all of your suggestions. I feel like I know your personalities from your lyric suggestions, at least your writing personalities. And I wanted to, hopefully maybe one time, in the future, we can all meet on a Zoom or something and see each other.
We can definitely do a Zoom. Actually, why don't we do that? We could do like a special listening party just for the people that were involved writing the song.
That'd be cool.
Chris, you're done. And we could do it on Zoom, or I'll see if this platform, I really put these people through the ringer. Yay, that would be awesome.
Watching that come in too.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're going to have that feature coming soon if they don't already. I just don't know about it. I didn't think of it. I just felt like I wanted the world to know about this cool thing, this amazing idea that you guys had. So we took it. Marianne, hello.
Yeah,
how are you?
Hello, Marianne.
I always want to call you Maria Jack. That's to go by Maria Jack.
Yeah.
That's what happens a lot. People sign up and they use,
aliases.
Yes, aliases, and then over time. Oh, yay!
Keith Curtis.
Yes, we do want to see you, Keith.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Keith is a great guitar player and has written some beautiful songs. Okay, so should we start with questions, or what should we do? I'll pull up the questions right now. You can tell I got nervous.
And Terry says he's watching on Twitter and Facebook, so it looks like
something's working.
Like it's working.
Well, Marianne, yesterday, I did a test yesterday, which I really didn't realize that it was going to be streaming on everything. Mm-hmm. And it was like a test. We were, at the ceiling. She wrote to me, she's like, it sounds pretty bad.
Oh, really?
We had no idea what we were doing. Oh, LinkedIn user. I wonder who that is.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. We'll see.
Yeah.
We're recording this right now, so we'll post this in the winner circle at Hookist, and we'll post it also on our socials. And there's Terry saying it sounds great. Yeah. That's good. All right, so here we go. Let's ask the first question. I know the very first person who submitted was Keith Curtis, so we're going to go with your question, because the early bird gets the worm, right?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. All right. So, Keith, Do you guys find it harder to pitch a 3/4 or 6/8 song? You don't hear a lot of those on country radio anymore.
Yeah, Keith Urban had a big hit with it just a couple of years ago, right? What was the name of that song, Jayne?
Blue.
Blue.
Blue Ain't Your Color.
Blue Ain't Your Color. That's right.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong. There's not a lot of those on the radio, right? I mean, but there's definitely some hits. I love it, and I almost never write in 6/8 or 3/4. I mean, I don't know why. I just always kind of a 4/4 guy. But in this particular instance, the second she told me the name, Missing Things, just saying it out loud, Missing Things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Missing Things. It just seemed to have a 6/8 feel to me. So, and because of the subject matter, I knew it was going to be sort of a ballad, and that kind of made me think, yeah, let's take it in that direction. So I wasn't really thinking about, like I might sometimes, is this going to make it to radio? Will an artist really like this and just make them look awesome? I just kind of thought about the subject matter, what the song needed, and we went from there with that.
And for next time, talk about it.
No, I said, Jayne, this is what we're doing, and we're never gonna do it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we did discuss it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My publisher has told me that it's if you can avoid doing waltz beats, I think of it as like a waltz, and the one reason is well, obviously a song of the year came out of it, but one reason is that Nashville is looking for up-tempo songs, and that waltz beats is more balladish, like Chris said. So yeah, but
unless you're Weezer, and then they rock it out pretty good. They do some 6/8 that's just crazy fast. But you're absolutely right. For Nashville, that's exactly the thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And so do you pitch that to them, or like I'm so interested in the process, because I feel like I can never get a good handle on what actually happens. So you write the song, and then your publisher's like, hey, that's in 6/8.
Well, my publishers are middlemen or women between the writers and the artists, or the artist camps, and the higher up, like more established writers don't really need publishers anymore. They can just go right to these artists themselves, or to the artist producer or A&R person at the label for that artist. But a lot of people have, I wouldn't say a lot of people have publishing deals, but that is one way to get your stuff to the people who are looking to record, and that's called getting a cut. So it's one way. For me, it's really the only way to get to these people. My particular publisher has been in the industry for, I think, 3 decades, and so he has a lot of connections, and he's very well connected, and so that's a plus for me. So that's what happens. You write a song, you turn it in. Any publisher who gets songs from his or her writers might say, I don't think so, or yeah, I love that, let's demo it. Or sometimes it comes demoed to them, and they might say no, or they might say yes. And so you hope they say yes. But that's only the first gatekeeper. Then other people have to like it and love it as much. So
right.
What do you think?
Yeah. You get a song put on hold. That's good, but that doesn't always mean that it's going to happen. I know some scenarios where they've gotten the phone call, they've called for the lyrics, the song's on hold, they're going to the studio, and then at the end of the day, they didn't quite feel it. Their throat wasn't feeling good, and they didn't do it. So you hope that doesn't happen, but it is a process for sure. I mean, publishers and pluggers, right? I guess pluggers work for publishers, so their job is, instead of writing the song, to take the song to the artist and plug it.
Yeah, there are pluggers also, pluggers and publishers. They're the ones that are the middlemen. And pluggers sometimes work for publishing companies as the person who pitches to the industry, to those artists can't. And then sometimes there are pluggers who are independent pluggers that have clients, and these people pay for them to pitch to those people. And it's quite expensive. My publisher does both. I just write for him, so I'm not his client, but he does have clients and he plugs for them. So that's the distinction between those two names.
You know what is so funny? When we first started Hookist, well, it wasn't that early on, but at a certain point, some guy wrote to us and accused us of being song sharks. That we were taking, we were like those people that are taking a lot of money to go and get music seen. But I was like, we're charging 49 cents, guys.
Yeah.
I am not a song shark at all. I don't know how you could possibly say that. But it was really funny. And this guy was he was hounding us for a long time, really accusing us of like doing something so sinister. And I was like,
wow,
you're doing anything sinister.
Dang.
Yeah.
It was funny. But so Terry's asking, should the demo be just piano, guitar, vocal, or more produced?
I'm always asking this very question to people all the time because I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I tend to want to make a song big and full and sound like it would be on the radio. I mean, there's two schools of thought. Either I'm going to turn it in and somebody's going to go, that's just, I really can't quite hear it without all the stuff. Or they're going to go, man, this sounds great. You need it. I'm on the fence. I really don't know. I've been talking to Jayne about it lately. Like maybe the thing to do is to kind of do both. If I'm going to produce it up the way I kind of hear it, and then just acoustic vocal, a good song should really be able to live with just a piano vocal or a good acoustic vocal. I don't think you have to have a big production. I tend to go that way, but sometimes that might hinder you. A producer or artist might have their own vision of how a song should go. So, and it kind of depends on the song. If it's like if you play Tag later, that song sort of lends itself to a lot of cool production. We wanted to have some fun with it, and it just depends, I guess.
Yeah, I think up tempos lend themselves to a fully produced demo.
Yeah.
I've heard many publishers say, "Oh, they can hear through a work tape." A work tape is what Chris has going on right now in this song, and then he's going to actually produce it. So the work tape are just your first thoughts. It's like the song's done, but it's not really doesn't have any dressing on it. So, but I have yet to meet a publisher who really can hear through just a work tape. I mean, the song has to be absolutely fantastic, and maybe then it doesn't need to have much production at all, and it can just be a work tape in your phone. But I mean, the basic would be a guitar voc or a piano voc, and even then I wouldn't do that. Like Chris and I just wrote a song called Good on Your Feet, and I wouldn't turn that in as just an acoustic.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, it is I don't know. It's a good question. It really is a good question. I don't know. It just, and sort of Jayne, you said earlier, getting through the gates, like maybe the person you're going to get it to, the artist, could totally hear where this song should go. And they may even have their own vision for it. But the people to get them there, to get excited about it, they might not get it super excited about something. Oh, I've heard this piano vocal kind of thing before. I don't know. It's a dang good question, and one I keep asking myself.
The song has to be there no matter what. It has to not even be a good song. It has to be great in order to make it through those gates. And so, I think it's just song by song, whatever that song needs to be able to celebrate itself a little bit out there. That's how I look at it. Like our song that we just finished, like I said, it's up tempo. It's a song that I really feel like would be great for a live show, a concert show.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could present that. It should be able to be played like on radio if someone does an unplugged thing. Yeah, you can, if people know the song, but to sell the song at first and get someone really interested in it, I think you need to have that energy. That's just me. Yeah.
I love how you can hear some great songs like in movies and TV shows these days, like in Stranger Things, it comes to mind at the end when they're doing Journey and it's like a cinematic orchestra playing that. Holy crap, that's a sign of a good song, because Journey did it with the guitars and the big lights, but man, to hear it that way. And you sometimes hear like Johnny Cash doing 9 Inch Nails. I mean, remember that, how a great song can be done in so many different ways. So yeah.
That's super cool. Well, it is magic. You know, we had one, we wrote a song with Chris Barron from Spin Doctors.
Yeah.
And, oh God, it was, I stalked him for a long time. He was a fave of mine. And, but he, almost every week he had a different kind of version of the song. So one week it was like a ballad, and then the next week it was kind of bluegrass, and then the next week it was, you know, something else. So we had like 4, 5. By the end there were so many versions, and it was amazing. And it just like spoke to like his creative mind. I mean, it was really neat.
That's interesting that he was trying so many different things to try to figure out which one wins in the end, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was super fun. And cool. He was just as chaotic and crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved it. So, okay. So Patricia Aubin, how often do you work together in collaboration, and do you each have your own projects you work on as well?
How often do we work together? We're buddies too, and we're new buddies.
Yeah.
We just met each other for the first time face to face in August, but we had written many songs, I'd say. Well, at least a good handful of songs before that.
Yeah.
But Chris and I,
you've got your own things going on the side too. You write other songs with other people, and
well,
I do too. I have a business.
Yeah. And I came from, we both came from the performing side of things. And I still have my band here in town that it's in a different genre. It's in alt pop. Indie. But boy, we haven't done a show. I think it's been like 2 years, or it was right before COVID. And so I've done that for years. Chris is, besides a great producer, I hear you're just a fantastic drummer.
I just started as a drummer, man. I was 8 years old and going crazy on him in the basement, you know, and then I was too young to go out. Nobody to practice somewhere else. We always had to practice in my dad's basement. So all the older guys that I would play in town would leave their instruments, and so I would figure out how to turn them on and play around with them, you know. And so that led to other instrumentation I could try to play. But yeah, then I just went into like everything from heavy metal to I had hair down to my waist in the 80s, and I had fire shooting out of the drums and all of that 80s hair metal stuff. And then Nirvana came along and changed everything for me. I heard Kurt Cobain. I was like, holy crap, this is it. And, you know, and so I went down a whole indie rock thing, and Matthew Sweet and Fountains of Wayne. These are just like my favorite stuff ever. And still to this day, I just listen to, I love this new band, Wet Leg. It's not country. It's not even close to that. They're from another country. And it's these two girls, man, they sound fantastic. So I'm a music lover of all kinds. During the day, I write crime music. So that's what I do for the Discovery Channel. So I'm writing crime shows and commercials and jingles, and this love I have for music has led me to Jayne, who is kind of a missing piece for me, because as a music guy, I always think melody, I always think chords, and I never really thought words. When I do, gosh, it just that's the hang up for me. I get hung up on it. I don't quite think it's there. I know it's not, and I'm good enough to know that it's not good enough, right? So I needed somebody like her, who is a perfect person to write lyrics with or write songs with, because she has the lyrics. She has all that good stuff that I was missing. And so she completes me. To say be in the craziest way, right?
I told Chris that I think that at least I feel like I manifested him into my life. We're both married. In fact, this is my husband, who I thought I had to let me just make sure. I don't know why that came through.
He's calling me now. No, I'm just kidding. He's not.
But I feel like I manifested Chris, because a good co-writing connection is you find, you know, your strengths and you know your weaknesses, and your strength is your lane, and you find someone who has a different lane, so you can travel that road together. So Chris is music melody, I'm lyric, and we're really good friends, and we work well together, and that is not easy. It's not easy to find, and so I cherish the relationship, and I think that we both really respect each other, and so therefore good things are coming out of it. And so I'm really looking forward to the future.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, you can definitely tell you guys are friends. I mean, it's fun to watch. Like, I found myself, I don't know how you guys feel, but the audience, but I found myself smiling through all the videos.
Good.
I was just
I was struggling through all the videos. I'm terrible. Like, I hate all the camera stuff. I was like, the first time I was like, oh, this is off. I can't do it.
I know you were so funny, but you made me laugh in every single one. So Patricia Alvin is saying she saw a few videos on YouTube of you, Jayne, and your band, and I did too. I watched a lot. And cool, but we couldn't find anything on you, Chris. So I was really surprised, like when you were singing the song, and it was so good and really like made me cry the very first time.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I just sing the songs because I don't have anybody else to sing them, and I gotta just get the ideas down. I did put out like a little record 5 or 6 years ago under the name Sweetwater Space Station, and it's just me in my bedroom doing Death Cab for Cutie and the 1980s new wave, right? It's not this kind of thing at all, just for fun. And that's, but YouTube, man, I was kind of the 80s guy, so it was pre-social media, and we don't really have that many videos. There's about 4 videos on VHS somewhere that I need to digitize and get into the real world today and put out there of us smashing drums and all kinds of stuff. So I need to do that, but I haven't.
You do, because those, start disintegrating. So do it soon.
That's right. For sure.
Yeah, right.
Like me, as I get older.
I know that feeling. Okay, so Keith Curtis has another question. He said, I don't want to hog all the questions. No, you're allowed, Keith.
Yeah.
Do you or Chris always sing your submissions to your publisher, or if you feel the song needs a country twang vocal or whatever, do you get someone else to sing the demo?
Yeah, we absolutely do. That's been a lot of our talk lately. Is it really helps? Like I got that little Weasley Beach Boy voice that kind of works for this song, but you need that kind of gruff, cool country radio guy, or that really awesome girl song. We call on a few people for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it helps because my publisher said it this way to us, didn't he, Chris? I can't remember what song it was, but he said you should get a country vocal on that, because unfortunately you just have to, how did he word it? It's like you can't it's not that you can't leave something up for interpretation, but the people that he pitches to, he said you have to spell it out for him. Sometimes
and it's kind of almost the same conversation we were having about, do you produce the song up or do you just do acoustic vocal?
Yeah.
Especially if it's, I think it's the same kind of thing. We need, it does help sell it, I think.
And that's interesting. Terry had 2 questions actually. Well, a comment and a question. He said that he knows folks that pitch to Mary J. Blige, and she doesn't want to hear anything. Oh no, it just moved. He doesn't want to hear anything. She doesn't want to hear anything at all. And it should only have a man singing. That's very interesting. I've never heard that. That's wild to know that. But
well, yeah, and it's that way in Nashville because it's reverse in Nashville. A woman can hear a demo with a woman or a man demo singer singing it, and it will be received the same way. But a guy can't necessarily hear it if it's a female demo singer, even if the song is gender neutral. They always say get a male on it because the women can hear through that. So I guess because we can multitask, we aren't.
That's right.
Something with our ears that
I was like, I can't sing that.
It's like movies, right? Like women will go to the men's movies, but the men won't go to the women's movies.
Hey, I like some women's movies. So my wife's got me trained pretty good, though. I gotta be honest.
So Joe Bro, he says, thank you both. The amount of feedback Jayne provided was outstanding, and Chris's ability to have a recording ready every week was nothing less than amazing. And I told you guys, it was an incredible experience. And Keith says he agrees, and they were great. Okay, so Tam, is it Therese or Therese? I'm not sure, but I'm going to call you Tam because that's what I've got you in the head. When you collaborate with other songwriters, lyricists, are you generally in person or do you work via Zoom or the like? If the latter, how does that affect your process?
Is that specifically working with a lyricist?
It says when you collaborate with other songwriters, lyricists, are you generally in person or did you work via Zoom or the like? So I guess I imagine COVID changed a lot in this regard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because we're states and states away, she's in the north, I'm in the south. We're always working, remotely. But we never get to, except for a couple of times. One time we got to be in the room together. That was that. that happens a lot with me, and having to work remotely with people. What about you, Jayne? Besides me, do you write with people in Ohio?
No, I don't write with people in Ohio, but when I was going to Nashville all the time before COVID, I was always in the room. Rarely, but not rarely. I would still do Zooms from here because I wasn't in Nashville full time. And there is something that's different about being in the room together versus having this barrier of a computer between the two of you and being long distance. It's different, but I haven't really noticed that with Chris. I guess you just cut through. It's like if you work well with someone, it doesn't matter. I mean, if there's a delay, that sucks. And it's like, I can't hear you great, but that sucks. But we work so well together that there doesn't appear to ever be a barrier. But if it's not going so great and you don't feel that comfortable with the person, then that barrier of the computer screen takes you a little bit even further away. I don't know if that answered the question or not, but
I think so. I mean, Teresa, if you have a follow-up, add it there. But for me, it answered it.
okay.
So I'll go on, and then Teresa, if you want to add something, feel free. So this is Keith, and he has a follow-up on Patricia's question, but a bit more specific. Do you try to write something every day, either together or separately? And then, Chris, do you ever go to Jayne with a musical idea and you start writing words, or is it always words first?
I try to write stuff every day, but I write for a living, so it's not always country music. Because I'm not always getting to do just that. But definitely writing every day. And then, a lot of the times I'll have those voice memos in the car, or I'll have an idea, but I've got a melody and a couple of chords. I'll send that to her. And then sometimes she'll send me an idea, with this song, it was a title first, and I didn't have any music or anything. She had a title and the idea, where can this even go? Just the thought of it. And so I started thinking about music for that. So I don't think it really, there's no one way to do it, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Jayne, actually, I had a question about where did this line come from, that you gave us to start with? I remember you crying at 3 a.m.
Oh, I really don't know. I thought of the title Missing Things because this is what I really love to do, especially with country crafting, is I love titles that you can approach that title in different ways. So initially, before Joe came up with the fact that it could be for an Alzheimer's song, my initial idea was to use Missing Things in a way where it still could be a guy was missing signs in this relationship. What was I missing things? And then the second way of using it would be like, now that I was missing signs and all of that, and our relationship has ended, now I'm missing things like you in bed here. And then another, I think Chris then said the third way could be, and maybe she took some of his favorite clothes that she used to wear around the apartment, and he's literally missing things.
Where's my Ben Folds shirt? Yeah, right. It's missing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So those are three very different ways of using missing things. So that's where the title came. I look for titles where you can do that because I just feel like it makes for a more interesting, either if it's a story, even if it's not a story, it makes for an interesting lyric when you can approach something three different ways, or at least two different ways. So that's where I had the title. And then that first line, I remember you crying at one night at 3 a.m. I was still thinking of the relationship. I just tried to get into the head of a guy who was missing signs. And I was thinking like, okay, he might be sitting there and he's like, why is she crying? She's so unhappy. Why is she unhappy? And that's where, literally it was a jumping off point. But I wanted it to be something that you could at least start to visualize.
Got it. It was great. It was a powerful, powerful moment, I think. Powerful opening. And then Joe, kind of blew us out of the water with that. I thought it was amazing. And so clever, clever. And using it in those three different ways was really clever as well. Okay, so I think we kind of answered this. Do you start with a title and work from there, or does it just depend? I think, yeah, it just depends.
It does, but I work, I would say we work, Chris, mostly with the title first. I mean, it's really hard. For country, it's so title based, and you write everything lyrically, you write to that title, and you start pointing to that title at the very beginning. And so if you don't have a title and you don't know what you're pointing to, you're kind of flying blind. I haven't been that successful with starting. I used to, in my own artist career, I never had a title. And then the title many times it might have been 2 words in the song. And I'm like, oh, that's the title. It really rarely never was the hook. But it's not like that in country. The title is the hook, and the title ends the chorus. So these are just some of those crafting things that if you want to write commercially, and especially for the country market, that you just learn along the way. You start pointing to the title right away, and the title always ends the chorus. And sometimes it's not always like that, but that title is predominantly like heard at the end of that chorus.
Yeah, and in this case, like the title led me to the tempo too. I mean, it led me to a 6/8 song, which I know that we talked about that earlier, but more of a ballady, more of an introspective kind of idea.
Yeah.
So without that, I wouldn't have started there.
Got it. Okay. So this is from Keith. Does Chris ever make lyric changes to better fit the music structure, or does he simply try to structure the music to fit the lyrics?
Yeah, if I've really got a melody that I love, I might ask Jayne can we tweak this, or if there's a few too many words there, or I've got, I would ask her. I don't make too many executive decisions in that department. I always run it by the lyricist, but yeah, I might make that suggestion.
He's so good at trimming. Like Chris is just so good, and he's so good at thinking of a shorter way to say something, and it's like, boom, there it is. So it's just, it's good.
I'm just taking all her greatness and then just condensing it sometimes. But rarely.
I like the mutual admiration society we have going.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
it's all good energy. That's
you know your lanes,
We both feel, I know that Chris feels the same way. We both feel that lyric and melody, it moves together. So rarely is there like this, this whole laid out, I call it real estate of melody. It's rarely like that. It's usually like a start of that, and then we work the lyric with the melody. I mean, don't you think it goes like that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's not like I'm top lining to a track, and it's not like Chris is taking a full lyric and having to, like, God forbid, do something with it. It's just, it all moves together.
And so you discuss if something's not fitting correctly in either the lyrics or the music, I guess, right? You can just discuss it and find. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a process. It's a creative process.
Right, for sure.
Terry just asked what top lining is. Chris, you want to answer that?
I don't know what top lining is. What is top lining? You mean
it happens a lot in pop.
Just writing the melody and the lyric?
Yeah, right. So there's a track that's presented, and and someone coming in and either top lining melody and another person top lining lyric, but it's always with the tracks already done.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that very hard to top. I have top lined, but I find it really hard to do.
I know lyricists who are the same. Yeah, I know the people that don't like to do that. I know some that just won't do it. They're like, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
You're funny, Chris. I do think you're funny.
Yeah, well, I got that going for me, maybe.
Chris is hilarious.
You could do it. Okay. Well, I think we know this. You talked this, but do you write strictly for country, or do you write for other genres? Which ones, and which do you find easier personally?
They're all.
I think country is the hardest genre I've ever written in. Wow. Honestly, and people think it's so simple. It is. It's a beast.
It is.
Why?
Why?
Specific?
Hmm?
Because it's so specific?
Story driven. You've got to be in the mindset of the person. It's just the hardest thing in the world to know. If you live that life, it's one thing, but especially as an outside writer trying to write for an artist, you got to think about what makes that artist look good, sound good, feel good to himself, herself, and then also to their audience. So the audience is going to go, they're incredible. You want to make them the hero, the star all the time. And then at the same time, what that content of that needs to be is something that's relatable to the people, that's going to make them feel something, or make them want to drink more, or make them want to have a great time, whatever that is. And it's just that is hard to do. It's difficult. People will tell me all the time, buddies of mine will say, like, I can write that country stuff. All it is boots and trucks. And man, no, it's not. You got to dig into those lyrics and listen to how these guys are crafting that stuff. It's incredible.
There's some brilliant stuff in country, and people just don't, if they don't know the genre, they just don't know. And what makes it so difficult, where I came from, where I could leave things up for interpretation, you cannot do that in country. You can't have a line that's so not grounded that someone would say, God, what the heck does that mean? And so you want to make sure that everything makes sense, but finding interesting ways to say it is something that is such a challenge. I love that. Like I love writing country. It's the hardest shit I've ever done. Excuse my language, but I love it. I'm hooked on it.
I love all the other stuff like indie rock, and some Knoxville guys called Super Drags, my favorite indie rock band. I just love them. I missed their reunion the other night. I hate that, but they're so good, and their lyrics are not like country, But John's a brilliant writer, but it's totally different, totally more abstract. I think it's brilliant, but it's just not like country. They're both hard, but but he writes what is in his heart. Country people write what's in their heart, but then there's also a lot of just outside writers that are trying to write for country. And the thing you got to remember is make the artist look awesome, make the crowd, give them something that they're going to love.
And relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is really powerful. That's really great advice right there. Okay. So this is a great question, I think. This is from Patricia. She says, I noticed you ask lots of questions to help clarify a thought or feeling for the characters in the song. And she found it very helpful. She remembered Beth Nielsen Chapman. She wrote a song with us too, using this technique as well. Is it commonly used in songwriting or for story writers in general? And are there other techniques that help get to the heart of what one is trying to express when creating a song that you could recommend?
That's really interesting. I didn't really realize I was asking a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions in general. I drive my husband crazy. But when I'm writing, I ask questions a lot in my head. Like, if I was sitting right there on the bed, what would I see? What would that look like to see the mother crying? What would I notice? What would I be feeling? But I'm also looking ahead and asking questions like, where would this lead? If this is the thought here, where does this thought lead? I like jumping ahead to verse 2 a lot, because I feel like if you can get a really great verse 2 that advances the situation in the story or advances the song somehow, then it's going to help with those lyrics that need to come after for a chorus after both of those sections. So if I was asking a lot of questions, I would love Patricia to fill me in on what kind of questions, but that's what I'm suspecting I was doing, trying to get people to think like maybe ahead in the song, or think how something would relate to something else.
Okay, so Patricia, if you feel like answering that, you could just jot down a note in the chat. So Keith asked, and then we'll come back to it for sure. So Keith asked, or did you want to say anything, Chris? I don't know.
No, I was just reading another question. Sorry, I'm listening to you. I promise, I'm paying attention. I feel like I'm in school again.
I don't want to.
I was the wandering guy in school I was always in the corner. You know.
Well, what question you want to answer?
Oh, I just saw this person asking if we ever started with a short chorus. Is that right? Do you ever start with the song with a short chorus first? Sometimes. I mean, rarely.
It's structurally starting with the chorus.
Yeah, there's that form where like Chicken Fried, right, has that chorus that starts off with it, get you into the chorus, and then that's kind of a different form. There's those 4 or 5 forms that there are that you can kind of write to. So that's one of them. Yeah. I don't do that a lot. I don't tend to do that. The Beatles was big on that, right? The Beatles did almost all just choruses and bridges. They almost never had a real verse. You know, I want to hold your hand, or help, I need somebody, right out the gate. And then a little something and something, then right back to that chorus again. It's just 2 major, massive pop kind of chorus hooky sections. So.
And that would work in today's music too, right? Because like, don't you not have a big instrumental opening now? You know, it's like starts
right.
Hit them right away.
Short. Yeah,
that's right. You listen to radio, it's just like the lyric, you know.
It's really interesting, like pitching songs. The songs that we turn in to our publishers, they have been getting shorter and shorter because the industry wants it shorter and shorter. So it used to be like, because you talked about an intro, like it used to be that a normal length was 3:30, and now if we're like under 3 minutes, I'm like, yes, this is good timing. And I think this song we just wrote might even be a little under that, like in the 250 range.
Pretty soon everything's just got to fit on TikTok, whatever that is. And then we're only like saying 2 things and we're done.
But that's another challenge. I mean, you get 2 verses, you want to do 3 choruses, and to fit that in, it's another thing that makes country a beast.
How to tell a story in such a short time.
Yeah. Or to get it but when we hit it under 3 minutes, it's so like, yes, really.
Awesome. Well, Chris Barron's song, I think, was like 8 minutes long. So I guess that's not going to be a hit in the country world.
Oh,
it could be like a Led Zeppelin thing, you know? And those guys would go forever.
He just loved writing the song and just kept going. Okay, so this is Keith. He's asking, do you prefer writing about characters or situations? Like this song was about 2 people, but a lot of songs just follow a situation or an occurrence with characters being secondary to the situation.
What do you think?
That's a lyric question, not for me. I write the melodies to whatever that is.
I mean, there's always a character in the story. If for nothing else, it's the person singing it. If it's in first person, so you know that this person is saying something that he or she wants to be heard. So that is the character. You know, we don't always do story songs. Like Missing Things isn't really a story. I would not call that necessarily a story song. It's a situation.
Yeah.
It's a situation. The song that we sent to Meredith that she's going to play for you, which is a fairly recent one that Chris and I did, is a story song. But I would say most of our songs are more about some sort of situation. I don't know. I'd have to go and analyze that.
Yeah, and you gotta always think about the artist again too. What would you think if you're trying to pitch it to somebody to record on a record? What would they want to do? Would they want to do a story song, or we've talked about a little bit about the subject matter of, would a person sing that? You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember being on a writing session once, and halfway through an hour in, the lyricist looks up from his laptop and he goes, "You know what? I don't like this guy. This guy's an asshole. I think we got to rewrite this, because no artist is going to want to come out and be this guy, right?" So
right. You have to be careful of that.
So we had to rewrite it, you know.
Yeah.
I think we had that conversation at some point in this. Didn't we have that conversation?
Probably. I like to repeat stuff a lot, so sorry.
No. I mean, about our song. Like, didn't
we things?
So
making it in first person, it's the son. It's the son who's speaking in this song. It narrows the pitch. Just honestly, it narrows the pitch, because somebody's gonna in order to get an artist want to cut this, they need to either have had that experience or be willing to be that person. And country for so many years, people were not willing. It used to be that they were willing just to do stories in first person, and it doesn't matter if they ended up in prison or if they, abused their wife or whatever. This is traditional country, and it was so much more than that. But for the last decade since I've been in it, you just couldn't do that. And a breakthrough song, I don't know if anyone knows who Hardy is, Hardy, but he co-wrote this song, so it's one of the reasons why he cut it, because he co-wrote it. But it's such a fantastic song, and it just made it to the highway on Sirius XM, which kind of shows you what's coming up in commercial radio. And so I listen to that all the time. And this song is called Stay in the Truck. And I was floored that this artist put himself in a position in first person to have murdered someone and to end up going to prison. It's not his story, and it's in first person. And I sent it to Chris, and I sent it to another friend, Michael Davey, and they both talked about Michael. Our friend Michael's like, well, I don't hear anything that's so unusual about that production. And I'm like, oh my God, but the story,
we go back to our lanes,
and he's like, oh yeah, well, the content. Yeah. So that is something that I hope is a trend. I hope. So our song, a little bit of a more narrow pitch because it's in first person, and someone's going to want to have to sing that, to say that.
Right. And feel it personally. I mean, it's a bit of, but it was kind of incredible. And, really, I have to give condolences to everyone, because it was amazing how many people in this group were, very recently touched by this experience. So, I mean, it might not be that narrow. You know what I mean? Like, I just had no idea so many people were really dealing with this. So,
yeah,
kind of amazing.
And it could be a song that might not end up getting cut by an artist, but it could be a song that could do something, associated with the organizations that help caretakers of, people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I don't know. You never know. I mean, you just write the song, you write it the best you can, and you tap its butt and you get it out there, and then you just see where its little legs go. And so
it could also be a great stink song for movies and television too.
It could be. Yeah.
Certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, you could certainly see this. I mean, you could write a movie around it, honestly.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
hey, we should. That's next week. Let's start that Tuesday.
That is my back. I'll do that one. I'm kidding. So Chris gets really nice sound without getting too deep in the weeds. What workstation do you use, and what instruments do you play? This is from Keith.
Okay, so I used to use Cubase. Now I'm using Logic Pro. That's my main thing, and then just a lot of instruments that they have. And over the years, I've just collected up every possible VST instrument I can. I have real instruments too, acoustic. I have a Martin, and you can go through the whole list and just collect it, because I do it for a living. It is something that I'm constantly on the lookout for, buying new gear and microphones and all that kind of stuff. Anything I could do to make my bad voice sound better.
You do not have a bad voice.
I love Chris's voice.
I was so moved by your voice. I mean, it's really gorgeous, and everyone was talking about it throughout the whole collaboration. And so Keith went further and said, "So, what's like your go-to? Do you write with guitar or piano, and Jayne, you write too? Like, how do you write with an instrument?"
I write with guitar mainly. I do. I can write. On keys, but it's not my go-to.
Both, a lot of both actually. I'm a drummer who's just a frustrated drummer, on piano and guitar, but so I piece things together. But this one I can't remember if I did piano or guitar, but yeah, one of those two. I have written with the ukulele. I told her I wrote with an omnichord one time. I had this electric auto harp, it's just a push button thing, and it's weird. I had like a little Casio that would hit a sampler thing, and it would play things right around that. Anything that kind of makes a sound or a noise, I'll start with. So there's not really any right or wrong.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. No right or wrong.
We have a new puppy, so if you hear barking in the background, that's why. So sorry.
Oh, what kind of puppy?
It's what is it? Jayne has one.
It's
What
a
is it
Great
mixed with?
Pyrenees mixed
Mixed
with
with a poodle.
poodle.
Yeah, a pure poodle.
Romantic?
Pure doodle, something. I don't know what to call it.
Cute.
Is
Yeah,
it
he's 6 weeks old and he's 22 pounds with hands the size of mine. So,
wow.
oh, and they're hitting on the door. Sorry.
That's gonna be a big poop. That's
Yeah.
everything. In New York City, we always look at a dog and we go, "Oh, it's you got to pick it up with your hand."
Oh gosh.
So,
Yeah, I live in the country. We're not to worry about that. So.
The size of it. Yeah. That's a digression, I guess. So this is from Kaylee, and I think someone else kind of asked this too. Do you target a specific artist with your songs, or does your publisher decide who to send them to? And like, do you write, like, when you're writing, do you say like, this would be perfect for Tim McGraw, or?
Yeah, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do say that, and we kind of stay in the vein of that, like a Blake Shelton or whatever. But yeah, we don't typically right off the bat, I don't think, target an artist. Sometimes, I mean, very rarely will my publisher give out a tip sheet. And a tip sheet is who's looking for what at any given time. A lot of the tip sheets that float around Nashville are a little outdated. And so what he does is he gets together with other publishers maybe twice a year, and they exchange all of their notes on who's looking for what. And then he'll share that with me. But even so, unless he needs something right away, well, he doesn't communicate a lot anyway, but I rarely have heard him say, I need something, right now for Kenny Chesney or whatever. I know who he's close with. I know the camps that he's close to, and I know when they're looking. But rarely, Chris, I don't think we've targeted anybody specifically. I think when you do that, sometimes you don't do it justice.
I think it's always just about the song. Does this song speak to us? Would it speak to an audience? Would it be something that any artist would want to sing? And then you do kind of daydream. Boy, it'd be nice if Blake or somebody would pick this one up. I could hear this person's voice or that person's voice on this. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. I think it's just always song driven. I don't want to interrupt your question, but one question here is kind of related. Would an artist ever come to you and say that they like it, but would you change this or that about it? Weird story. So when I wrote Ride that Martina McBride ended up recording with Andrew Dorff and Michael Davey, the song got pitched to her. She put it on hold, and then there was an email going around, I think from Dan Huff to Paul Worley, and she didn't like the verses. She said that this didn't have enough substance. It wasn't like what she was used to doing. Dan was like, I think the song could be a smash. The hits, the chorus is great, but boy, the verses she don't like it for some reason. So we got together and wrote 7 more verses, I think, and then had Andrew kind of narrow it down to the 3 top contenders. And then I think it was Paul that picked the ones that he liked, and that went to her, and that's how it got cut. So yes, I don't know if that's happens very often. That was just a one-off for us. If you're lucky, then yes, I think somebody will come in and say, hey, I like this enough that I want to do it. Would you fix it? And so sometimes they might even want to write it with you.
Yeah, sometimes. Keith Urban released a single, it was several months ago, Wild Hearts, or I can't remember what it was called, but it wasn't something that we wrote, unfortunately. But
it's a great song too.
Yeah, he loved the chorus, but the verses didn't speak to him. And so he wrote the verses, and that's unusual. Like, I think that most people, by the time it gets to the artist and it's filtered through their team, you've already heard of the, like, in your case, no, Martina said she didn't like, the verses, but I think if it's just a line here or there, yeah, it won't stop the song from getting recorded, but you want to try to not have that happen. You want to try to give them something that they're going to love everything about. You don't want any stopping points. Like in the song Chris and I just wrote called Good on Your Feet, we have a line in there, I can improvise shit. And so I just loved the line. You'd have to hear the song. It goes with it. And I thought, okay, well, if someone, I don't think that's going to stop somebody, but there are lines you have to be careful that you just kind of know would stop someone from even wanting to cut the song, or you're going to hear back, I like the song, but I would never say that. So
right. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I just saw that, and
no, that's great. I mean, if you see him, definitely let me know.
Yeah.
And so, what are there specific things that you think of that right now that that are no-nos that you wouldn't want to, like, I guess, for example, the one that you said about, like, don't make your, the protagonist the murderer.
Yeah, those are definite no-nos. Like you wanna make the person want to say these words and sing them every night on stage. I mean, while you're writing, some things that you would avoid that would be red flags, like you probably don't want you don't want to make the person a cigarette smoker, or it limits the pitch. Smoking weed every once in a while might widen the pitch. People, like an artist might make them seem cool, but you have to be careful about that stuff. And there's different ways of saying it, which doesn't make it seem like they get high, but I don't know. Those are all little crafting things, but I'd have to really think about some stopping points that are red flags. I think I'm so used to not doing them that I just my mind doesn't even go there. Except it did for this line, I can improvise shit, but it's such a good line.
fits the tune.
Yeah, it fits a tune. So it's like, yeah, okay, hell yeah. We'll see.
We'll throw it out there.
So, yeah. So the main takeaway is make the artist look good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We took some chances on that one, though, that she's talking about, because I put some horns in there. She wanted horns, and I said, okay, we're going to put horns in a country song. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, though. I can't wait for that song to get out there, but we'll see.
So I think we're getting near the end. So Kaylee asks, where do you get your song ideas, and has there been an unusual source? She gets some of hers from like a TV commercial, a Hallmark movie, or even something as mundane as a road sign. LOL.
I'm with Kaylee. I get my ideas that way all the time. I keep everything in my phone. I call it my hook book. I keep all my ideas, and not only do I put in a potential hook, I put in just quickly how you could approach that title in a couple different ways, because that's my thing. Like I talked about that. I do that a lot. And so but I get them like in conversation. I listen a lot to people like at Kroger, or that's our grocery store here, or at restaurants. And you have to always like think like a writer. Your antenna always has to be up. And once you get in that habit, like I can't turn it off. Every time I'm watching a movie, I'm like, oh, that's a potential hook right there. And I've got it. And I'm always on my phone putting them in there. My kids know it. Like I'll hear something. I'll be driving in the car with my daughter. I'll hear something. I'm like, hey, Sydney, can you? She's like, I got it, Mom. And so she puts it.
Yeah. So, is she a songwriter too, or no? Is she a songwriter too?
She's a great writer. She is not a songwriter, but she could be. And she's a country listener. She's 22. And I run everything by her. She knows about missing things. She hasn't heard that one yet, but I do. I run everything by her because she's got great ears. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So, so Kaylee's following up on Keith's question. Chris, do you sometimes contribute to the lyrics as well as the melody, or do you guys like just stay in your lane?
I throw scenarios at Jayne or just ideas sometimes, but not very often. I mean, I leave her lane alone a little bit. Once in a while, I'll swerve over there, make a little bit of a mess of the traffic, and then come back into my lane.
He definitely contributes lyrics. Like I'm talking about this song again, "Good on My Feet," but like we hung out and did that chorus together, and that chorus, I would say you wrote, you know, a lot of the lyrics in that chorus, but it was the give and take. It was like, you know, well, what if we said something like that? Would that might, I think that did spark like an idea that you had, and then we just molded it together. So yeah.
We have a lot of conversations. I mean, I know in writing sessions I've had with, you know, in the room writing sessions where you get together with two other people or one other person that you haven't really met before, and you kind of have this cold write, and that sometimes turns out to be some great stuff. In our case, I got an hour drive to work every day, so I'll wake her up. She's getting coffee. We just chat, and so a lot of times we'll talk about the song a lot, and we'll do what she said, talk about scenarios. And maybe in that case, I would throw out, well, what if this guy does this? You know, what if it's this? You know, and so throughout that, in that way, I guess I can contribute some for sure.
Yeah, and then you actually contribute actual lyrics too.
Yeah, every now and then.
Yeah.
I like how you say that with a laugh. I have a question, actually. So what is it like when you go into the room with people that you don't know and you're just like, okay, let's all be creative together right now?
It's so hard. It's so hard. It has to be hard for everybody. For me, I've always felt like because I'm just not I'm not a super great player either, you know, and I know that a lot of great writers aren't, but so there's always that I'm not sure of myself. Am I going to be able to come up with something? Hopefully I have 3 or 4 ideas I can bring to the table, but maybe they've got something better. You know, it's like dating somebody for the first time. It really is just like that first day. It's like, this is so awkward. I don't know where this whole thing's going. So I don't know, maybe, and then you hopefully make some connections, and then we'll write with those people for a long time. Continually.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird.
I can imagine it being very awkward. It's kind of like, you know, when they say they're shooting the sex scene on the first day, you know.
Right. It's not that bad, but it's, you know.
It is. I mean, you have to go through, you have to kiss a lot of songwriters before you start sleeping with one. And I mean that in the sense of creating.
You see, that's why she's a lyricist.
You know, but it's like you really do. Like I was telling Chris, and I will get back to questions. I'll make this fast. Like this was some years ago. I was writing really, really well with this guy in Nashville, but we were writing in person, and I was going there a lot. And after probably about the 5th time or whatever, he said, "You always want to catch up in the first like 20 minutes. You always want to catch up." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, because I want to know you, and I want you to know me, because that's how I feel the best stuff." We didn't write after that, because that became like a barrier, and that shut me down, because I want to know who I'm being creative with. And I think it only helps. And so it does take a while to find the right people personally and creatively that you just mesh with.
Yeah, because you think about some of the great songwriting teams, the Beatles, you know, Elton John and Bernie. I mean, the way, you know, all of these people, all these great writers that have these little connections, I'm sure they spent time together. They had conversations together. They had dinners together. They talked, and they took those experiences from their life and put them together. I'm not saying you can't do that in a 3-hour session with somebody. I'm sure you can. I'm sure people do every day, but it's just not easy all the time.
In Nashville, it's a known thing that sessions are 3 hours, and you can go in and not know anyone. They may not know you, and then you write for 3 hours. And a lot of Nashville pro Nashville writers, they can write in 3 hours and call it a day, and they can go on to the next session for 3 hours. Many of them do have a couple writes a day. I can't do that. I cannot do that. I'm slow. I'm a slow writer, and I'm okay with being slow, because I like to think, and I do my best work when I can really think. And that's one way how Chris and I work well together, is we don't rush things.
I bet a lot of those fast writes end up with a lot of rewriting later too. I mean,
if
maybe
they're
not
good
all.
songs, yeah.
If they, because you'll get home and you'll think about it just slightly different, or you'll try to improve this line or
Yeah.
that line or this melody, you know.
Yeah.
Right. So Grant is asking, in line with that, do you enter into a songwriting session with a particular theme in mind, or does that develop as the session goes on?
Both. If you're a newer writer and you're writing up, it's called writing up. If you're in a room and you're writing with people who are more experienced, come with stuff in your back pocket. Come with ideas, whether you're lyric or whether you're music melody. Come with like 3 or so different things that you could, you know, if it happens organically in a conversation, like, oh, that'd be a good title. Perfect. But if not, you pull that out of your, like, well, I was thinking about something, and let me tell you what I was thinking about. I have this idea. So you should always have something in your back pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
And Terry brought up the Cutting Crew. Did you guys see that amazing documentary?
I haven't.
I haven't.
I love the Cutting Crew.
Oh, it's an amazing documentary. I'll try to find the name of it. But you know, they would go in and play on 4 Motown hits a day.
Oh yeah. Well, you're talking about the Wrecking Crew.
Oh, the
Wrecking Crew. Yeah.
Yeah, now that I have seen. I thought you meant the band, the Cutting Crew. I was thinking that's a great band from the 80s. I love that.
I love the Wrecking Crew too.
The Wrecking Crew, man. Carol Kay is like my favorite bass player in the world. She's like one of the best ever. You listen to all those 70s tunes, Captain and Tennille. I don't even care if you like them. That bass line is insane, right? She's amazing. And that's a great documentary that everybody needs to see. They were the hit makers behind those hits. You know, her telling the story about when Sonny and Cher came in with The Beat Goes On. I know we're short on time, but the bass line was just boom, boom, boom for the whole song. And then she came up with dum, 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 da, dum, you know, and made it into something great. Yeah, that's a must see. Carol Kay, somebody, yes, he knows. Yeah, she's awesome.
So Kaylee's, I think this is a really interesting question. Do you guys have a particular method of remembering your lyric melody ideas? So your daughter is one way that you do it.
The hook book, yeah.
The hook book.
Yeah, and also the voice memo on my phone. I do that. I'm constantly singing in things and working. I've got like thousands of voice memos. My God, if I ever lose my phone, I don't think those things transfer over. I don't know, but yeah. How do you remember your stuff, Chris?
I try to write. I just try to get the idea down into Logic or some kind of an organized folder somewhere. But as I'm driving to work, or if I'm walking around through the day and I can't do that, I do the voice memo on the phone. I always heard that Hank Williams, before phones, carried this little bitty Mead paper notebooks in his pocket. And I heard that one day he got in a restaurant and he heard somebody say, "Hey, good looking, what you got cooking?" And I don't know if it's true, but he said he wrote it down and made that song, you know. So
there you go.
Yeah, you always want to have something ready.
Keep that antenna up. That's perfect.
Right.
Terry dropped in. There we go.
Hey, Terry.
Hello.
Terry was monitoring from the Facebook side. So
I've been listening. I just wrapped the short time. It's great. You guys are fantastic. And the insight you're giving, writing and pitching and inspiration is inspiration.
All right. You're cutting out though for some reason. Maybe you need to.
But you look great. I mean, you look great in that studio, man. So even if you're cutting out, don't worry about a thing.
Say anything.
We have 4 more questions, and we have this amazing song. So I don't know. Do you want to? Well, let's ask the questions, and I'll ask you this too. So, did you and Chris ever consider offering the songs for sync for movies and television? And you know, she was talking about the movie Still Alice, which dealt with Alzheimer's, and this song could obviously, we were talking about that, be obviously good for a movie.
Yeah. I mean, you always hope that it would get used in any possible good way, you know.
And
yeah,
so
one song Chris and I wrote for pitching, it's called Drive You Happy, and I had the title in my hook book, and I came to Chris with it, and then we started writing. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Carvana
we did not know
positioning
that.
statement. I didn't know, but we wrote it anyway, and it ended up being a pretty good song. It wasn't right for country though. Like we got feedback on it. It wasn't really right for country, but I tried like the Dickens to get it to someone at Carvana, and I'm still gonna try. I did end up meeting someone at my daughter's school, but anyway, so I do have that outlet, and I have to just jump on that. But yeah, so sync. Yeah, you can make some good money. A lot of publishers, because they've lost so much revenue because streaming has taken over, and killed so much revenue in the music industry. Many of them are turning to sync, which is television and film and commercials.
Yeah.
It's called sync, for synchronization.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we will be emailing a link for this. Someone, Marianne asked, and this is Marilee, if you were to write a how to move to Nashville and get into the music scene book, what would be your suggestions for housing, networking with songwriters and musicians, and finding a producer studio to work with?
Wow.
I feel really strongly about that question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would say, my first thing I would say, and I don't mean this to be negative, but I would say don't unless you're ready. Like, you have to be ready to enter that market. And if you do it too soon, you're going to be missing opportunities to impress other songwriters and publishers. So if you're doing it to try to make your way into the music business, be ready. You should learn the craft, learn as much as you can before you enter that market and move there. So many people in the last 5 years have moved to Nashville with the hopes that they'll learn it when they're down there, and they will, and you can. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but do yourself a favor and really, really learn prior to even thinking about going. And then if you're ready, then I could have lots of things for that book. I'm no expert by any means. But
I've always said, every time I go to Nashville, I get my butt handed to me, because I'll go to some writers' night, or you just pick one of the publishers in town that's having their writers there. You go, and they're going to sing all these incredible songs. You're going to feel so intimidated, and you're going to feel so less than. You're going to walk away from it. You're going to learn a lot, and you kind of need that. But every time it is a town of great talent, and you just need to be prepared for that. I would definitely recommend, before you move, go there a handful of times. Go to the Bluebird, go to any writers' nights that's happening, and just listen and learn a lot. And as far as the housing goes, I think there are some places in Nashville where they'll cut you a rate if you're an artist. So there's that.
And what about like NSI?
And don't go there, and don't go there as a guitar player.
That's right.
Oh my God. There are organizations. Yeah, NSAI, Meredith, that's a great organization to check out or to even join. It is $200 a year. Everything is expensive when you're just trying to learn and make connections. I call it the under industry. Chris has heard me say this before. There's the workshops, the pitch to publisher nights, and you're going to start paying, but it's an investment. It's like no different than getting a degree at a college or investing in your own career. But NSAI, what would it be? National Songwriters Association International. And they do have arms in different cities that are local, where you can join locally and learn from other songwriters and find co-writers, and they can learn from you. And that's a really great thing to start doing, is getting involved with NSAI. And I have, if people want to contact me and ask me questions, I have a list of other things that I did when I was learning the market.
And if you do decide to make that trip, I would just say, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. If you do, I would just say, find some good people, make some great relationships and people to write with, and get some good, you'll get the songwriting under your belt through some of those experiences. But relationships, I think is important.
Definitely.
There's also our good friends at Songtown. We've written songs with Marty Dodson, the other Marty Dodson, and Clay Mills.
Mm-hmm.
They're great. And we have a number of people that have gotten good songs out there through their collaborations. That's
a great way to meet other songwriters and to learn. They offer a lot of classes. Again, it's everything costs, but I took a lot of their classes early on when they first formed Songtown.
Must be doing something right. Still one of my favorite songs.
Marty
One of those-
Dodson wrote that.
Yeah, great song.
Something right. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, so here is a question from Grant Edwards. Is it common for country songs that deal with emotional subjects to take on a religious Christian bent? If it is, do you think this is because that's the demographic of the songwriters and the fan base? Do you think a song with sorrows and hopes can be as meaningful and impactful without religious references?
I definitely think that it can be impactful without religious references, but you are writing for a market, and a lot of that demographic is religious based, and they pray. And so in our song we have pray in there twice, and I probably wouldn't have done that in my own stuff for myself as an artist, because that's just not necessarily where my brain goes. But you can have great songs that don't have to be religious at all. But it is in part, the demographic. Don't you think, Chris?
Yeah, and even like the funny one is Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, which is everybody. I played drums in churches for so long, and they always want to do that. They always have to skip the third verse. We know why. Right, but I just think
I was totally thinking the same thing. And actually, I just have to put a plug out for Morgan Miles. If you're watching The Voice, she wrote a song with us called "Contagious," which is along the same lines of what you were talking about flipping it on its head. It's make love contagious, not about. Well, it is about COVID, but it's more about bringing people together. But she sang that song. She's on The Voice.
Nice.
Hallelujah. They said I forget which one of them said. I think it was John Legend said he thought it was the best audition he had ever heard on the show.
Wow.
Great. Amazing. She's amazing. I'll send you the song. You guys, you all know, all these people I think participated in writing Contagious. It's incredible. But I'll send you also her video, because all four of them turned around. She chose Camilla. But she's going to win it. So just cheer her on if you have a
Oh, awesome. I will watch out for that.
She's struggled for a long time. Go ahead, Terry.
Amazing vocalist, singer, artist. She works so hard. She's in a van. She is going hard. She is just a super great singer and a really sweet human being. We're all wishing her huge success.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Morgan Miles, remember that name. So this is from GT Edwards too. What are some strategies you and Chris might use when you hit the wall, when songwriting and the ideas are not flowing?
Go to sleep, start another day, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we force it. I don't think we've ever forced it.
Oh, okay. I forgot to ask. What was the song we just talked about before Hallelujah that Joe was asking about?
Was it Must Be Doing Something Right?
Must Be Doing Something Right, the Billy Currington cut.
Oh, God. Oh, right, from Marty Dodson. Yeah.
Male Marty Dodson co-wrote that one. Yeah.
Okay, next question. This is our last question from Mary Lee. When critiquing country songs, those who are more seasoned writers often mention that there's a certain sound to a Nashville song, that the language needs to be conversational, etc. I've often heard, listen to what's playing on the radio. That's the sound you're going for. At the same time, the song needs to be fresh, original, a subject that hasn't already been written about. How does one create a cookie cutter song that's fresh?
If you find out, let me know. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think that they're cookie cutter. I think the Nashville craft is a certain structure. I don't think of that as cookie cutter, but it's
conversationals for sure. You want it to be conversational, easy to listen to, easy to absorb. You know your audience. Those just something that's easy. If you're driving at 8 a.m, dropping off kids that don't want to go to school, you just had a fight with your husband, you got a job to go to, you don't want to go to, you're that person. You just need something to hear that's easy to absorb, anything more difficult in your life.
But yeah, right, exactly. And finding the songs like that this person's going to listen to in the morning or whenever and making them fresh, it's not that you need to find topics that have never been written about before, because I think, you know, love and relationships and breakups and all that is going to be forever. And it's just, what you have to do is find a different avenue into that thought. Like Chris and I just wrote a song called Throw Like a Girl, and it's not a love story, it's a love song. He's saying, you know, you throw kindness like confetti, you throw second chances when you're ready, you throw lessons when I deserve one. That's the core. These are some of the chorus lyrics, and that's approaching like thank God you throw like a girl is the end. That's approaching a love song in a different way. So yes, it's a love song. It's been written about a gazillion times, but we're taking a little bit of a different angle. And so it's saying, it's finding something like that, a different way of saying things. And the cookie cutter part is fitting into a structure. When you learn the Nashville craft, it's staying with that structure.
Yeah.
You know, it's, but you can also vary from it too. If something you're doing is breaking a rule, break it if it sounds good. But you have to know what you're doing first in order to break the rules in country. You have to know that the line that you can't really cross.
Well, think about how many country songs have truck in them, right? And then you hear this song. I hear this song on the radio, and it says, "I need a new truck." There's nothing wrong with mine. Basically, the whole thing's going down there saying the air conditioner works, the engine, it's got a few miles. Why do you need a new truck? That's the lead away, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, because I need one that she wasn't sitting right here. Her feet weren't on this dash. You know, that's pretty clever. So it's a unique way of writing into something that you hear all the time about trucks, but not in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, turning it on its head, right?
Turning it on its head. That's it. That's the trick. Yeah.
I always wonder, like, I always wanted to know the backstory about who is it? Is it Trace Atkins, the Red Solo Cup?
Yeah. I don't know if he did it or not. I can't remember. I love that song, the Red Solo Cup.
Oh my God, it was stuck in my head forever, and I was like, he just wrote that because it rhymes with truck. I think. I don't know. Okay, and so Patricia says Keith Urban always crossing lines. It seems country music is not.
It is not what it used to be, because I'll tell you why. This is my theory, that a lot of the younger country artists, they grew up with what was it called? Your the very first stuff that you could put music into, not like your CD Walkman, but you could put music. I'm looking at Chris. You can't tell. I'm looking at Chris.
iPod, like an iPod.
An iPod, yeah. So they grew up with listening to all different genres, and I think that's one reason that all of these other genres have started entering into country. And Keith Urban is a great example of someone who can cross that line of pop and country. And he might not have been able to do it before he amassed such a big following, but now he can, and he's great at it.
Yeah.
So that's our last question. Do you want to, so Jayne and Chris have this great song that is bound to be a hit that they want to play for us. So how would you like to do this? Do you want to talk a little bit about it, and maybe you play bits of it and talk about it? Or do you want me to just play it and that could be our outro?
I think you can just play it and it can be our outro. I mean, I think I wanted to play it tonight just because it has a lot of what country writers call furniture in it. This is definitely a story song, and it's pretty detailed. You can imagine it. So imagery is really important in country, and we've got some great imagery and missing things. So I'm all about that. And so yeah, this song has a lot of imagery as the story goes along.
I'll say two things about it before you play it. One, I'd like to give a shout out to the Young Fables. My friend Laurel Wright sang on this for me, and they're a great band. They just got doing Dollywood this year. They've been touring. They're in Nashville. I don't know why they're not signed. It makes no
They're
sent
so
to me
good.
all.
Check them out. The Young Fables.
The Young Fables, they're fantastic. She did a great job singing on it. I just want to give a shout out to her. Don't be thrown by the intro. I had some fun with this the theme that we were having, so you'll hear it and you'll know what I mean when you hear that. So
The Young Fables official on Instagram. I followed them.
They're great.
Guys, follow everybody, share. You know, we have to support music right now. I feel like,
Right.
and especially songwriters. Like, how is it that Spotify built an entire business and didn't think they should mention songwriters? Mind-boggling. You know,
Yeah.
they've done it, but I still go, you know, guys, I don't understand. So you guys do the magic, you make the magic, and thank you. This has been an incredible experience. How about if you guys, so whoever logged on late, we're going to, everybody's saying thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
We're going to, when Chris is done with the music, putting the produced version together, we're going to do a little Zoom for just the people who helped write the song. You know, everybody who submitted lyrics, not people whose lyrics made it in, but everybody. Will do a Zoom call, and so we can get together and get to know each other.
I will really look forward to that, so I can see everybody. I just want to say how proud I am of everybody, and all your submissions were great, and not all of them could be used, unfortunately, but wow, I was inspired by everyone, and thank you for taking part in it.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I hope, did anyone, I'm surprised Renee is not here. I hope she's okay. I'm glad to see her here, Blue. All right. Well, so we'll get together, and then I'll just play this song. And if you guys want to save any questions you have about the furniture in the song, we can ask those during the follow-up Zoom. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. This was fantastic. What an amazing, and our song is amazing. So excited to hear it.
Thank you, folks.
Okay.
Really beautiful work. Thank you for your time. Really great spirits all around.
Our pleasure.
And Jayne, it's still my favorite story that you were submitting lyrics at Hookist during a EF4 tornado.
Oh, yes, I was. Yes, we were in the middle of a tornado. Like, I thought of a lyric. I want to submit that. Yeah,
devotion,
so
man.
Participant, you know, it's great to have experienced that, and I have loved Hookist.
Oh, good. Well, we love you, and you're always welcome on both sides of the camera, I guess, and spread the word. So I'm going to play this song, and you know, you guys, it'll just be available. You can listen and make comments, I think, while it's playing. So here we go. Let's see if I know how to do it. All right, ready? Here we go. It's a fun one.
Bye, everyone.
It is now my honor and truly a privilege to pronounce you for the first time and forevermore, husband and wife.
Oh my lord, what did I do last night? Well, let me tell you.
You didn't know his name, but you wanted to take it. In an all-night chapel in Vegas. Could have been the wine, the shots, the cherries on the slots, or how he looked in neon lights. You called me from a shop right off of the main strip, saying you only live once, you're doing it. Trying on a dress, a veil that wasn't on sale, but was yours with a credit card swipe. It's just like you to do something like this with a stranger in a church in a third shift Elvis. Give me your new last name when you're sober, and some pics of all this when it's over. And don't drag that dress round town too long. And girl, keep the tag on. You were next in line to step up to the altar, kept me on the phone as your maid of honor. I was yelling, don't do it, but had to bite my lip, cause you were hearing wedding bells. When you said I do, it was so outrageous. Then the king played Viva Las Vegas. As you kissed, this was the craziest damn story we would ever tell. It's just like you to do something like this with a stranger in a church in a third shift Elvis. Give me a new last name when you're sober, and some pics of all this when it's over. And don't drag that dress round town too long. And girl, keep the tag on when you wake up next to that guy. Just know knots can be untied, lessons can be learned, dresses can be returned. Best friends can laugh about mistakes we made for the rest of our lives. It's just like you to do something like this with a stranger in a church in a third shift Elvis. Give me a new last name when you're sober, and some pics of all this when it's over. And don't drag that dress round town too long. And girl, keep the tag on. Girl, keep the tag on. Put it on.
What did I do?
And girl, keep the tag on.
The crowd goes wild here in Las Vegas, everybody.
Oh. Yay. Oops, I did it wrong. Yay. That was awesome, you guys. Oh, we lost Chris. Are we muted? I think so.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, thank you so much. That is a rocking song. Oh, I think there's some comments, right? Let's see. I think there are some comments here. New messages. I can totally see the video that goes with it. Cool. Totally.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, awesome. I can see those girls on the because Nashville's become like the bridal destination.
Oh,
It turns out
yeah.
see those girls like singing that song. It'd be really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
thank
Thanks,
you.
we'll
Jayne.
see. That's a fairly new one.
It's awesome. It's so much fun.
Oh, I feel like I'm losing you. It's starting to get all our internet is
Okay.
so bad. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was awesome. We're
Okay.
gonna post the link
Thank
as soon as I figure out how. Take care, guys.
Okay. All right.
Cheers.
Okay,
Bye.
guys. Bye.